Current president Joe Biden getting asked about the classified document situation. You know, you had the whole Trump situation, very critical of that, and then lo and behold, he has some classified documents at his residence and also at his think tank as well. Let's take a listen to how he responded to that.
When you hear about boxes in your garage or in your old office, you called the Trump discovery irresponsible. Is there something irresponsible here, though, too?
You know, you're a good lawyer, but you're trying to make a comparison. There's degrees of irresponsibility they can be significant degrees of responsibility. The way in which the boxes were packed up from my office, apparently not everything was gone through as meticulously as it should have.
Okay, so what does that mean? So not meticulously as it should have, and there are degrees of irresponsibility. My problem with this is that he's still not taking responsibility for the fact that he is the person who it falls on. I mean, do you think Donald Trump personally packed those documents and put them in his office, or did he direct someone to? It's just like what you did. You directed someone to pack them and take them. And from what we know about what was inside of his files, they were in his private office. They were intermingled with his son's funeral plans. Clearly, there was no plan that was made here. They were locked inside of his garage as if that somehow made it better because that's where he keeps his Corvette, which we know that Hunter had access to and used to drive. And look, I don't particularly care about all these particulars. I'm just showing you that, if anything, it's just as insecure as Mar-a-Lago. The crime in substance is basically the same on its merits. Now, the cover-up is a little bit different.
Yeah.
By all measures, he did, flag it or whatever. But at the same time, you hid this from the American people. He had 6 weeks before the election where he could have told everybody and they would have made it public, and they didn't do it.
I mean, I just think all of this is a wash at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the thing is, they really had Trump dead to rights on this one with the documents and the amount of them and the cover-up and everything. This was the most clear-cut potential indictment, and now it's just a wash. And politically, it's just a wash as well, especially when then you had Mike Pence that turns out has classified documents to, and the American people are like, all right, forget it, let's move on. So it is embarrassing that he's still unable to take any sort of accountability, that he's trying to, parse these things that I don't think are obvious to most people, that this is a dramatically different situation than the situation with Trump down at Mar-a-Lago. At the same time, we covered last week, there were some rumblings in the DC press that Biden, maybe he's not going to run again because this man is famously unable to make a decision. And so the timeline for when he's actually going to launch his reelect has gotten pushed further and further and further into the future. And so there are some people who are like, okay, well, maybe we need to come up with a plan B. His wife, Biden's wife, Dr. Jill Biden, she has now come out and made it pretty clear that he is definitely going to run again. So let's take a listen.
Is there any reason for any of us to think that he is not running again? We've heard him say several times that it is his intention.
Are you not believing this, Darlene? I mean, how many times does he have to say it until you believe it? I mean, he's done so much. And Darlene, he's just not done.
Okay. So is all that's left at this point is just to figure out a time and place for the announcement?
Pretty much.
So she nods her head there, yes, at the end. She's asked, is all that's left to figure out a time and date of the announcement? She nods her head, yes. This is what we always thought.
Yeah, well, it's what we thought.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, stuff is floating around. He is her most personal. How many times do you have to say? It's like, well, also, why aren't you running yet? It's already February. It's not like this isn't the best time, and you do want to stake it out clearly that there is no lane. I mean, the word is not going out enough in the right way, because you had that Politico piece, which we covered just yesterday, where people in official Washington are preparing themselves for the possibility he may not run. So I don't think it's nearly as much of a given as she's saying, even though they seem to want to have their cake and eat it too. They don't want to actively run for president again, or all the rigors of what a campaign and standing that up would look like, and do all the fundraising. And then they also want to crowd out everybody else from the race. It's like, no, you have to pick one, and it's time.
I mean,
I agree. I agree.
Convinced he's going to run, because they still have, the Democratic Party still has this issue of, okay, maybe we have an overwhelming majority of the public and even a majority of Democrats are like, we don't want you to run. We would rather have someone else. But when they look then down at their bench of chosen successors, here's Pete like melting right now into the ground in his failures as Secretary of Transportation. Kamala Harris obviously is dramatically unpopular, and even they've realized at this point that it would be a disaster and a mistake to run her at the top of the ticket. So it's kind of like, I guess we're gonna go with Biden again. So that's what it looks like to me. In terms of the timeline slipping, but this is just the way he operates. He can't commit to things. It takes him a long time. He's a micromanager, but he's indecisive. So it doesn't surprise me that the timeline has ultimately slipped here down the road into the spring. But I still feel pretty persuaded that he is going to ultimately.
I think that's right. And with the campaign or with the classified documents thing, like you said, it's a wash now. You can choose your own fighter. One is corrupt. The other one doesn't follow the rules. I choose the one where they're all basically think that they're above the law. Apparently doesn't apply to them, which is crazy. That you have the vice president, you have former presidents as well, and then you have literally President Biden and Trump not following the rules. And like I've said too, with Biden, he wasn't even the president; he was only the vice president, and still he's just taking all this stuff. Funny story: when we were in Austin, I went to go visit the LBJ Museum, and the proprietor gave me a nasty look when I was like, "Hey, do you have any classified documents here?" He's like, "No, sir, we do not." So, it was a joke. Just making a joke.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.